On Alabama, my name is Jared Budlong. I am running as an independent candidate for governor here in Alabama this year, and tonight is Tuesday. So we have a policy meeting tonight, and we're going to focus on Alabama's prison system. So hold on to your butts, I think is how the phrase goes. So earlier today, I was tagged in a post that I had seen the video of previously, and found out that somebody who was incarcerated and had hip issues and was having a hard time getting around has passed. So that's where my head is right now. So if I seem a little distracted, that's going to be why. So that's where we're at. What I don't think enough people realize, and I'm just going to have to pull up their account. Beth Shelbourne, if you're not following that account on Twitter, please do. She's a reporter who used to work in regular news and basically got fed up with how that gets handled, and has broken out and started doing independent journalism and is investigating lots of things. But right now there's a huge focus on the Alabama prison system. So I want to see if she has updated her counts, because Alabama has an unprecedented number of deaths in our prisons, and I don't want to misquote the numbers because I don't want to give out false information, but it's not small numbers. So I want to see if she had put out a post recently. I'm going to see if I can find it. This is not going to be a normal policy meeting, by the way. Just, tune in, come hang out. If you're putting stuff in the chat, I will try to keep up with it. Sills, Democrats aren't qualified. Look at every major city. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not a Democrat, so I'm sure talk bad about them. Like I literally do not care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Weird. So let's keep scrolling down, and it's hard to keep track of because seems like every other post is about a new death, but I'm trying to see if she has an updated. All right, so August 17th, death toll increases every day. July was the deadliest month so far, with 19 deaths that we're aware of due to violence, suicide, drug or medical neglect. Drugs are suspected on 14 of 19 counts. So that's where we're at. So that's July, 1 month, 19. So let's keep rolling through the thread, because I don't think people understand. Like I've tried to say it, and I just don't think people understand how bad it is. World Economic Forum. Brandon, I'm running as an independent candidate for governor in Alabama. I'm not currently focused on World Economic Forum. I'm worried about the economy in Alabama. So that's the one downside to using not my normal background, is I can't say it's the topic, it's on the background. Right now we have a picture of a toilet inside of the Alabama, one of the Alabama prisons from about a month ago from what I heard. But that is the condition that some of the people incarcerated are living in. And I could probably post that here, but on the main feed. It's my TikTok background. I figured it'd be an attention getter. It's a picture of a toilet that's in very, very bad shape. All right. Let's see. So we're just going to read through the thread, just because Beth does a really good job of reporting. So in a single month, 6 people died inside of a maximum security prison, Donaldson, run by law enforcement due to suspected overdoses on illicit drugs. Her comment: imagine the response if this had happened in a school or a small town. But it's business as usual inside Donaldson. The ADOC is no longer issuing press releases about deaths in prison. They ignore her requests, or slow walk other reporters, meaning to try to slow the spread of information. The language that they use on preliminary cause of death is watered down to found unresponsive, even in cases of suicide. In an effort to cover up deaths inside the prisons, it's an effort to cover them up because they're being sued by the Department of Justice. They don't want details of the appalling spike in deaths released to the public or info about new suicides to impact its fight against mental health reforms ordered in the Bragg's case. I was hoping she would go back through some other numbers. But, there's 26,000 people-ish inside the system right now. I was hoping she had a total count, because she did a total count recently, and it was, the numbers were appalling. And I don't want to misquote them, but this year, we're talking about one facility, 1 month was 19. That's July. So I want to say it's in the 50s total this year, and most of them are, that we're aware of, are drug-related. Inside maximum security prisons a lot of the time. So, Sean, welcome back. If you're not in Alabama and you're in, Sean, forgive me, you're in Mississippi, right? Yeah. If you're in Mississippi, go check out Sean, running as an independent, also doing some good work. All right, so we have lots of people dying, and my frustration is that there are a lot of people. There are a loud minority of people who reply back with something to the effect of, don't do the crime, don't end up in prison, and you won't have to worry about it. And the system is run by people, which people make mistakes, right? So there are innocent people in prison. We don't know how many, because we don't seem to care as a state, but that is not just our state's problem. That's a nationwide problem, right? But we have to assume that there are some, and always will be some, innocent people in prison. First. Second, even if they are guilty, I don't know how this is so hard to wrap people's heads around for some reason, but even if they're guilty of whatever crime they committed, they're still a human being who deserves and should have all the rights of being a human being. If you're watching on TikTok, you're looking at a bathroom from one of our prisons. I'll try to post it in the comments on the other. Actually, I can't post it in the comments on the other feed. You know what? Let me find it, because it's in disgusting shape. So I'm gonna see if I can find it while I'm chatting. I won't be able to do that at the same time. I'm not going to lie to myself. I can't do that at the same time. Go to Facebook. I'm going to post it in the Facebook comments. I'll do it after the live. So we have people that are inside the system for laws that society has come up with. And for some reason, we as a group have decided that if we don't like what someone's doing, we can treat them as less than human by putting them inside of a box that has no ventilation in summers that get in the hundreds just outside, much less a big concrete box that was built in the 70s or 80s, and are willing to let them rot away and die. I can't wrap my head around it. So I don't know. I really don't have a plan for this meeting. I had hoped to talk about something else, but I can't. Not today. So there are too many people that have responded to my posts for me not to say something publicly about the fact that when I say every human has the right to live a life of dignity, I include the people inside our prison systems. The incarcerated individuals still have a right to dignity. We should not be stripping that right from them and preventing access to that dignity. We shouldn't be restricting access to healthy food. We shouldn't be restricting access to medication. I saw a post earlier today where an individual who's currently on the inside was talking about they get 6-month medical checkups, which, okay, every 6 months, that's the soonest that they can get a checkup, is what it sounds like. And the point that he made was that one of the people he's near found out he has cancer and has had it for over 6 months. And it was something that should have been seen in a previous scan if we were doing our jobs. And now it's gotten to the point where it's no longer likely to be treatable. And because we have privatized our prisons, including the healthcare, from how I understand it, still looking into all of this, but my understanding is, they're a for-profit organization, so they are having to make a call on whether or not it makes sense to spend money treating an individual who's incarcerated, or delaying the news long enough to where it's not going to make a difference, so it doesn't make sense to treat them. And like, there's still people. Like, I don't know how to get fat through to people more. So there was an individual who had, I want to say it was like pancreatic cancer or liver cancer, had a bloated stomach and just wasn't being checked on. Like, that's another video that was floating around here recently. And like this, the entire system is set up to where either the state profits off of it, or the the resources used to run the facility are for profit. And like, I don't know how else to get it through people's head. Like, when profit is the motive, you are going to do your best. If you're doing your job at that point, like, your job as a for-profit company is to make as much profit. And when we're talking about things that people need to live, you're making a profit off of giving people less than they need to live. So as an example, I don't remember the county. If somebody wants to put it in the chat, they can. Like, there was a prison near me. I don't remember if it was Holman or if it was Fountain, or I don't remember which facility because it was a couple years ago. But the staff, the food budget was discretionary is probably not the right word, but it was flexible, let's say. And the funding that doesn't get used got be put other places. In this situation, it got pocketed to the tune of, if memory serves, about $750,000 that wasn't spent on food for people incarcerated. They don't have another option. Like, they need food. They're alive. They were. And instead of allocating all of the funding to food that they were given, they spent less and put money in their pockets. And like, that was intentional on the staff's perspective. But if we're talking about a private company who's supposed to supply food to a facility, and you have no other options, and they skimp on the food and give you, stale or potentially moldy, old, non-nutritional food, you have no other choice but to take it and eat it, or not eat it and potentially starve. And like, there's so many issues that, like, we have to start somewhere, and it can't be I don't know that fixing any one of them is going to be a good thing. So we've got to fix a lot. And I'm probably not in the right mental state currently to do this, because I literally found out right before I left work. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to transition into some letters that I received from somebody in prison. They have said they're okay with me using their name, so I will. I have reached out to one person to confirm that at least some of the details are accurate. So we're going to read some letters from Gerald Griffin, who's currently in Fountain Correctional Facility. And, I got 4 letters on the same day. They're all postmarked on the same day. I don't know when he attempted to send all of them, but that's where we're at. I'm going to check the chat because I completely forgot. Amanda, were you talking about the image earlier when you asked if I could post it or message it to you? And then Rachel, I think it was Etowah. Now that you're saying that out loud, the 750,000, that sounds right. If you want to look it up real quick and just confirm, I'd be cool with that, just so we're not giving out incorrect information. But I'm pretty sure it's Etowah. That's now ringing a bell. So let's see. All right. Let's see. That's an incident case. We're going to read one of the other smaller letters first because, yeah, Rachel looked it up. It was Etowah, and that was the 750-ish thousand. That's probably a rounded number at this point, but does it matter? Like 750, 725, 800,000, $100. You're still taking somebody's food to profit off of it and pocket it. Ugh. All right. All right. So this was dated 7/24. How can we speak about reform? Actually, no. There's a letter before that, so it was out of order. How can we help from the inside? We have a stronghold that these prisons in Alabama are going to get violent because there's no hope. Department of Justice hasn't stepped in like they should. We want to help the good hearts, what we call our movement. God knows our hearts. I just want the chance to hear our cries. How can we speak about reform, the Habitual Felony Offender Act? Because we're poor going in with court-appointed lawyers that don't care for us, we end up with long sentences. I can't get proper assistance to get in court because the law books are outdated, ones they have access to inside. We can't get new law books. We can't get in the library because they say there's not enough staff open the next day, and then something else that gets people into an argument with them to take your focus from the freedom. It's hard in here, Mr. Budlong, but I also will say, if you want to change, if you want change, you have to be a part of how to change things. I thoroughly agree with you, and I'm going to send a letter back, but it might take. This one, I don't know how long it took to get here, so. That's one letter from Gerald. There's a couple more. So he was involved in an incident, and I'll preface this. From what I understand, the incident happened, and it is something that is, at least from what I hear from other sources, isn't disputed, right? It happened. So let's go through that. This is Gerald's perspective. Mr. Beldong, I enclosed the incident report that shows I didn't assault him when he stated that he grabbed my arm, leaving out the door. I have an officer who sprayed me with mace. When Sergeant Vince screamed, "Drop the knife," bam, I was sprayed and escorted up the hallway to nurse's station. If he makes that same statement, Sergeant was hiding bigger things, using me for retaliation. With my run-ins with ADOC on speaking out for the living conditions, mental health issues that they don't address and take serious, but they don't. So they say they've taken it serious, but then they don't. I've been in a one-man isolation cell now for 9 months in the state of a madman mind because I'm charged with a felony first-degree attempted murder when I did nothing of that degree. I got convicted. I have a life without parole sentence where I have it says life without parole sentence where I have a 2026 parole date, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I think it was life with possibility of parole, maybe. I'll have to look up his case. It feels like there's no hope to keep going. I have a story to tell because of the good hearts. I think that's a group of people that they support or are supporting them. I'm not supposed to be around him if he went this far, and the warden knows this, but it's part of the retaliation tactics to shut our mouths. I've been on hunger strikes, stabbed 15 times from a hit from ADOC officials who are gang-related because I would not be tricked to help Sergeant Finch, and now my life is back into a judge's hands who's friends with the same ADOC officers, being not able to get law books to study for my defense. I have a public defender the courts gave me from being indicted for 3 charges. I was not trying to harm him. It was other things going on, but because I would not help him, I'm facing a life without parole, I'm facing a life without, for me being a radical prisoner. I pray that's all I have left. I have been a high leader in one of those violent street gangs in America, but I came to Alabama prison systems for the last 11 and a half years. oppressed, jumped on, stabbed, kicked. I'm from New York and came to a nightmare where we're treated like dogs and are at the point of no hope of any kind that's going to push us to explode these, or push to explode these walls, because I call Riley an angel because God knows my heart, and I will likely, or I'd like to be of any help. I want to go to the Better Way Ministries program if I can, get a chance in court again. Also, I'm scared that they're going to railroad me without a good lawyer. I didn't touch him. I wanted to hire a Baldwin Legal Investigation. I'm having a motion hearing tomorrow. It's well past that now because of the time it took to get the letter. If they grant me being diligent, I'm praying it works out. That the public defender said I did not need to be there, but I wish I could tell the judge I need to see this to match all the other officer stories to show that they're lying. Thank you for listening. And then he's got a report attached. So again, I have reached out to somebody who's at least on the inside, and they're not entirely sure that Gerald didn't do this. Again, I'm getting a letter from Gerald, but somebody else on the inside said they're pretty sure he did attack somebody. But the point was that he was potentially under the influence of self-medication. We'll say it that way. I don't know what TikTok's going to like today, so I'm going to try not to. So my point that I want to make people aware of is that the last report that came out was something like 17 of 19 people inside are participating in drug use. And I need you to understand, like, what else do we expect them to do? Some of these people are locked up for decades at a time, if not life without parole, with no hope. And if they have access to drugs in a maximum security prison, what else are we expecting them to do but to use them? And then if they are under that influence, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this so that people understand where I'm coming from. We as a society have created the rules, right? All of us have created the rules. When someone disobeys those rules, we lock them into a prison. And the situation in the prison we are in charge of as a society. That prison now lets rampant drug use. It allows for, let's say it that way. Part of it's just not enough staffing. I get it. I am not saying that people on the inside who are taking drugs and attempting to stab people are without blame. But people need to understand, if we've made these situations, like we've made these conditions, as a people, as society, we have put them in this situation. Like, so if you don't like what's happening, we have to push back to change it so that we're actually helping people and not just putting them in a box where they have no hope and will do drugs to pass the day and potentially end up attacking someone under that influence. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Because like I was having a conversation with somebody who's on the inside, and they were like, yeah, they did that themselves, kind of. And it was like, I mean, on an individual level, sure. Like, they took the drugs, got it. But like, we as a collective, as a group, we can't think that everything is of our own actions, because their actions wouldn't be a problem if we didn't say that we didn't like them, right? So like, I'm not saying we should or shouldn't change certain laws, but if we as a group are going to say that this is wrong, we need to help people not do that thing instead of just punishing them for it, because punitive punishment doesn't work. So I don't have a whole lot else to go. I'm going to scroll back through TikTok a little bit and the comments here and look at the comments on Facebook. Best number 2, or wrong staffing. So I don't know who the Facebook user is. It doesn't give me a name, so I'm not sure what you're saying, but it's literally understaffed. Like they have less than a third of the staff they need across all of the facilities. It's something like 3,000 plus staff, and they have around 1,000 officially. We don't know what the actual count is. We're just going off what the state reports, and that's a third of the staff. So understaffed is a part of it. I'm not going to say there isn't a problem with wrong staff. I've said this before. Like if you're in a place as an organization that has a hard time hiring people because your job is dangerous to the person being hired and the people under their supervision, it's dangerous for everyone involved. If you're hiring in those conditions, I have a hard time wrapping my head around who would want to work there. Outside of desperate, like literally you just need money because we don't have a minimum wage. So, $7.25 doesn't cut it in any city in our state for even a single person. So like money desperation, get it. The other one is like there's a possibility, a strong possibility. There are people who work there for the power, and that is not the right staff to be there either. Neither one of those are good staff for those positions. Somebody who's desperate for money and somebody who wants the power angle, like neither one of those are good positions. But even if we had enough staff, it wouldn't necessarily be the right staff. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't know who it is because it just says Facebook user, but it's both right now. All right, TikTok, we're going to scroll back up a little bit. Sorry I've ignored you. I went on a tirade, and I'm not even going to apologize. All right. Let me scroll back up and make sure I caught up. Yeah, we're going to ignore that. So Jesse, why a jail toilet? So Alabama Department of Corrections is that's one of the toilets inside of the facilities. Again, I'm going to try and post this in the comments later so we can. There's actually several pictures from a jail cell that I want to share out, just to show people what the conditions are. But that's the point. It was an attempt to get an attention to get people to stop and watch the stream. Not going to lie, because that's what people are living with in our prisons here in Alabama. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce your name, SX. Please get the word out. It's very rough. Doodle from Montgomery. Doodle, I hope that we will see you on September 26th. So this is going to be a shameless plug. It's not our event, but I will be attending and speaking at the Break Every Chain rally on September 26th in Montgomery. It's a Tuesday. Crap. I should know this before I break every chain. I want to make sure I got the right. It's a day. It's a weekday. But the important part is that it's a weekday. It's a Monday, September 26th. September 26th is a Monday, and there is a rally in Montgomery in front of the Alabama Department of Corrections offices. The important part is it's a Monday. You will have to take off work to show up to this. I hope that if you're in a position that you can take off some time, that you'll show up. Like, after what we've been talking about, if you're able to take that time off, I get that we live in a very rough time for most people. But if you're able to take off some time, please show up to that event on the 26th in Montgomery. Facebook is the one where the event is being organized, the platform. I'm not hosting the event. I will be there to speak, but we're trying to get as many people out there as possible. If you can contribute financially, please throw a couple bucks towards Christina. She's the one organizing. She had to pay for the fee to have a legal event in front of the building. So it is going to be as safe as possible. I'm going to phrase it that way. You never know what's going to happen, but the idea is to be there and speak up for the people who are inside who can't currently. All right, keep scrolling through. It's a rough place. It's a rough place, but when you have good officers that treat them like humans, they get looked down. Looked down on while working that prison. I had inmates who would pray for me. They wouldn't always try to do anything out of it. It's custom, and they weren't trying to get anything out of it. They were just decent people. You'd go back in a heartbeat and make $18 an hour. Chris, you are an extraordinary human being. If you if you're willing to go back in that situation, uh, good on you. I, so it's a good question, Anna. I'm gonna keep scrolling. Fairly certain on your update video, the prisoner. I said August. Dang it. That's what happens when you do things when you're mad. Thank you, Ursula. I'll post an update. Thank you. I made a video earlier about this, and I may have said August 26th. I meant September. So I'll go fix that before it gets more viral than it probably already has since we went live. I don't have anything else. That's it. Like, we don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight. There's other things. There's a vote happening. If you're in Daphne, there's a vote on the 30th about an increase to funding for our local schools for the Daphne High School elementary schools, or sorry, Daphne High School feeder system. There's a $3 million property tax increase on the ballot for the 30th of August. Actually is in August. So in like a week, please show up and vote on that. If you want to get additional funding in the current model, because I can't fix it yet, please vote at that election. Video is correct. Good. Thank you. I said it correctly in the video. Cool. Yeah, if you're in Daphne, show up. Check your polling location, because this is a special election and there are less polls than normal polling locations. Show up to the correct one. I know mine is a different location, so please check your polling location. And then there's another vote happening, and I'll try to post about it because I don't want to give the wrong information. It's something about healthcare changes for access to, I think doulas. I've got to find the info, so I will post that on my page. Moisha, the team posted on the profile for the campaign as well. Jenny, is this for real? Which is what for real? Something I said or the background? Like, I'm not sure what you're asking. All right, so I'm gonna go back and check Facebook comments because I'm sure I've missed something. Let's see. Oh, Angela, thank you. I believe it's on a Monday. Thanks, you're right. Hope they should perhaps pay more, but yeah. So right now, I don't know that paying isn't gonna solve just paying isn't gonna solve the problem. I'll say that. Robin, you said you've already tried to take off but can't. How do we send money? Reach out to Christina on the Facebook group. Again, I'm not organizing it, so you have to reach out to the organizer directly. I'm not sure how they're taking payments. If I had to guess, it's something like Cash App or Venmo, because it's just a person who cares about the people on the inside and is creating, scheduling the rally and getting things organized. I believe that her family is directly impacted by ADOC. I don't want to speak on her behalf, but from what I understand, she's impacted by the system and wants to see change. So she's organizing the rally. But cool, Amanda, thank you for taking care of that. Thank you for being in the comments. All right, I don't have anything else. Like, unless if you guys have questions, I'm happy to try and answer them as best as I can. If you want to talk about policy for a little bit, we usually schedule these meetings for about an hour, so we have about 22 minutes left. If somebody wants to ask questions, I'm welcome to try and answer them. Anna or Alex, you guys have been quiet because I've been monologuing at everybody about how bad the system is. If you have something to say, feel free to chime in.
I guess my question, and probably the question of, those who are in the live, is as the governor, I guess, what's your plan of attack? What can we do to fix it?
Yeah. So the first thing we have to do is get the facilities under control, and I mean literally, like, things are out of control. So we have rampant drug use, which is happening with the current level of staffing because there isn't enough to keep an eye on everybody. So there are facilities, or I'm going to call them dorms. They're actually converted warehouses. So they were warehouses and they're now being used as dorms that are housing 200-300 people at a time. And there's literally just the room wasn't designed to be looked at, right? It wasn't meant to be monitored. So they're not being monitored. Like, they literally have free reign to just do what they want. And that is the biggest concern initially, because any new rules, any new legislation, anything that gets passed to try and fix the procedures isn't useful unless we have the staffing. So the thing that I've proposed so far is bringing in the National Guard initially. So literally declaring a state of emergency, bringing in the National Guard to fill the staffing gap, to get things under control temporarily, adjust procedures, and then figure out the staffing problem permanently. From there, when it is as safe as it can be with the current rules and regulations and laws in place, then we can start addressing things like food insecurity, the cost to make phone calls in some of the county jails. Like, we can address all the other problems, medical assistance, people not getting colostomy bags on time, people with hip fractures not being treated. Like, pick a healthcare piece, get that under control along with the food piece, and we will start going from there. But the biggest thing is staffing, and it's going to take more than just paying more. It's there aren't enough Chris's in the world who care and will want to come work there. I don't think there are enough. It could be wrong.
So speaking of Chris, we have a couple of questions in the comments, so I can read those off to you if you want.
If it's Facebook, I can pull them up. If it's TikTok, let's pull those back up.
Yeah, I've got them. I can scroll and read them too. Okay. But I do have a follow-up question on the National Guard.
Yeah.
So I think my question on the National Guard is, I think sort of replacing one militant force with another militant force. I think there's maybe some concern there. So
sure.
Do you have a plan to sort of put some oversight on that, if you were to bring in the National Guard?
Yeah, you almost slipped and kind of made my point for me. They're a part of a federal force, so they have other things they have to follow anyway. So they have to follow military code, and they have to follow other things that ADOC is not in control of. So part of bringing them in is actually to have that third-party oversight, that they can't be coerced. It may not be the right word, but they will.
I get where you're going, but yeah, your plan is to have some oversight there.
Yeah, and then on top of having new staffing, one of the things we're looking at doing is having an open reporting mechanism. So like right now, you can have tablets and phones and things in certain places, and having a way of reporting both by those who are incarcerated but also other staff, that is sent not only to ADOC but is also sent to me, but also sent to the federal government. Like, we're sent straight to DOJ, and that way every report has 3 eyes on it, and it can't be as easily swept under the rug. Now, you can try to prevent people from filing the report in the first place, so we'll have to address that as well. But right now, that I'm aware of, there's no reporting mechanism available with outside oversight. So that's another part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris wants to know, would you support tougher sentences for law enforcement that goes wrong?
So we're talking about just broadly speaking? Yeah.
Yeah, so this law enforcement that get convicted, would you support tougher sentencing for them?
So it's tough. So when we say tougher sentences, like, are we talking about just like longer, more harsh punishment? Because no, but not because they're law enforcement. Like, I know punishment doesn't work. Like, that's kind of the whole point we're in right now, is it's just punishment doesn't do anything. What we have to start doing is actually looking at why people do things and solving for that, right? It's like we have to start solving for the cause of these crimes, whatever it is. If it's drug use, why are they using drugs? And like, is it dangerous for people around them, or is it we just don't like the fact that they're doing drugs? Because those are two different, one of those shouldn't be criminal. Like, somebody's just doing drugs, why are we criminalizing that, putting them in a box and taking them out of society when they're not a danger to society? Like, we got to rethink how all this is working. But if it's a dangerous situation, then we need to figure out why they're doing that. Do they need mental health resources? Like, do they need trauma therapy because they were abused as a kid and are now taking that out on people around them? Like, we got to figure out what's causing it in the first place, because just putting them inside of a a facility isn't going to solve that problem. So I don't know if harsher punishments is the right word. Uh, if we want to follow it up with actually convicting them of crimes they commit, yes, like let's do that. 100%. Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to say like, yeah, we're going to be harsher on crime, because like that's been a problem for like that's a lie that's been told to us for decades now. Like that started in what, early 90s with the 94 was it 94 crime bill. The thing that people joke about Joe Biden signing, right?
Or 94.
Yeah, there was the 94 crime bill, I think is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So actually, you know what? Alex brings up a good question. Ending qualified immunity. If that's something I can do, sure, let's do it. But I don't know that I can do that directly. You know what? Somebody needs to write that one down, and we need to look into it, because that sounds great. Let's that in civil asset forfeiture. Like maybe the state shouldn't be able to just take things from you and say that's ours now because we think you're doing a crime. Oh, this is going to turn into a whole nother side of this discussion.
All right. Well, let me read you a couple more because they're coming in. So,
cool.
Ursula asked, if you were to win, would you be able to stop the prisons that Mima has already put the money towards?
I haven't found an answer that says we can, because the contracts have been signed and the state has issued bonds through regions. So like if I can, my concern is that we will put the state in massive debt for canceling a contract. So like I need a lawyer to help me figure that part out. I don't have an answer, unfortunately. I don't know that situation. I don't know the outcome of what would happen if we did, because those contracts have been signed. So usually large contracts like that have sections in them for, hey, if you cancel this, like you owe us money, like because we have planned for this. So what I don't want to do is put the state in a situation where we have even less revenue than we already don't have enough to do what we need to do. I don't want to put us in a place where we have less. The idea, and I think I've discussed in another one, and the idea would be to use that new facility to help with the rehabilitation and the re-entry process, but not in the last 6 months type of way. Like if it's a brand new facility, like let's find a way to use it to benefit everybody on a cycling, a cycle. Like again, we'll have to figure it out, because I don't have a plan for it yet. But I don't think that answered your question well enough. I hope that that's okay for now.
Ursula said, heck, I mean, the state's never been against losing money before.
Yeah, but I don't want to be the cause of like, hey, we want to do all these cool things, like give people better healthcare and better education. And by the way, we just lost, not no longer spending, but like we now lost a bunch of money. So like, it seems counterproductive. And I'm willing to have that discussion if somebody wants to explain, if somebody wants to research those contracts, finding a way out of it outside of the 3 lawsuits that are currently there, Tracy. There are 3 lawsuits against that prison being built right now anyway. So like, I'm hoping one of those will solve this question for me, to be honest. But if somebody wants to look into the contract, like let's figure out a way to get out of it, that sounds great. Let's do. But I don't want to put us in a situation where we have even less money to do the things for everybody else that we want to. So, yeah.
Angela asked on Facebook, when cannabis is legal on September 1st of 2022, do you agree or disagree that prisoners with cannabis charges should be released instead of other folks? Specifically, she mentioned some folks some words I don't think we're allowed to say on TikTok, so I'm going to skip them. I'm not trying to skip her comment, but I don't want you to get, don't
want me to get banned.
Infringements on TikTok.
So we're talking about...
so I'll just leave it there. You can answer.
Yeah. Pedometer counters and people who enjoy grape.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So blanket statement, yes. Like if you are currently incarcerated for something that is now not illegal, that should mean to me that you shouldn't be incarcerated anymore. Like that should be an obvious statement. Our state doesn't seem to believe that because we've changed laws in the past and don't retroactively apply them, or we retroactively apply them for a couple of years and then change our mind and unretroactively apply them. That's the Habitual Felony Offender Act. Like, go look that shenanigans up later. But broadly speaking, yes. So like they should get out, right? The concern I have is we releasing someone. Let's say they've been in for 10 years, like, because that's not unfathomable. If they've been in for 10 years for a drug charge, if we just release them and say, hey, have a great life, sorry we incarcerated you for 10 years, here's, $5 and a bus ticket to go home, what are they going home to? Like, is there support present for them at home? So like the answer is yes, but and that sounds like a political answer, but like what I don't want to do is add to recidivism. Like, I don't want to release people because they got incarcerated and we've ruined their lives as a society. We've ruined their life now, and send them back into horrible conditions that will likely lead to them getting back in the system. So let's come up with a plan and find some funding to help set up community programs, state-run programs, whatever we need to do to help them re-enter into society and not end up back in the system that we just got them out of.
It would be great if there was some sort of clause in the licensing that you had to reserve so many jobs in your like plant and production and farming for folks.
Oh yeah, for people that have been released. Yeah. And I'm not opposed. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. Is like some of the positions on like the parole employees, like the parole officers, like having people who have been incarcerated as parole officers, because it's like who better understands that situation than someone who's been through it. We would have to vet those positions like everything else, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have them in those positions, have them in oversight positions because they know what to look for. And then even not that I can right now, but on the freaking board of pardon and paroles, if we have to keep that ridiculous group together, then it needs to have somebody who understands the other side of the system. We require somebody who has had, I think it's 10 years of law enforcement experience on the board. Let's balance that out. Like, they've had 10 years of law enforcement experience. Let's have somebody who's had a lot of experience in the system and who is now out and can balance out this half or third, because it's 3 people on the board. But anyway, we're getting slightly off topic. But
I agree. Well, on the topic of parole, Virginia asked, if you get governor, would you allow inmates to attend their parole hearing potentially by video?
That unfortunately is not up to me. I would, yes. That the entire pardon and parole procedure is up to the board of pardon and paroles to approve any suggested changes to the process. So I can hire the director and make suggestions, and they can make suggestions on new processes, but it is up to the board to make those changes. Like, they literally have unprecedented power, I'll say. Let me interrupt for 1 second. PT, if you can go live and you are comfortable going live, this is the perfect live for you to go. Like, if you can. I don't know if you currently can. Please let me know if you can. Anyway, I completely agree with your statement. The board is a group of devils. They are currently denying 80-ish% of requests for pardon and parole. And like in the last couple of years, it's switched from approving 80% to denying 80%. Again, it's rough. So I'm trying to scroll through some of these comments because I think we're replying to each other and having good conversation. So Robin asked about Medicaid. So this is a policy discussion, so we can mention it. Robin, they don't cover, the federal government doesn't cover 100%. They cover 90% of the Medicaid expansion costs. And from everything we have been able to find as a team, it's up to the governor to just say yes. So that would be one of the first things that happens is, unless we find something that we're not aware of so far, like if it's literally not within my powers, we will be expanding Medicaid. Like there's no reason not to. It's like 143,000 people that could be just covered at 10% of the cost. A dime for every dollar. like we literally, on pennies on the dollar, we could be covering people with the bare essentials of healthcare coverage through Medicaid. So yes, Alabama doesn't make anything retroactive. Yeah, profit is over prison. Dion, yes, 100% agree. That's our Department of Corrections issues a profit and loss statement every year. Like, they are in business. And I made this post, I think it was on Twitter, because somebody else made a comment. And Prison Talk, thank you, appreciate it. Somebody made a post and said something about how horrible the prison system is, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a business. Like, they built the first prison in Alabama, under the current type of structure, in 1844, and by 1848 we were leasing out the facilities and those who were incarcerated. Within 4 years, we were like, a lot of people here that could do some work. Let's make some money, and we've been doing it ever since. Like, it's what it is. Like, we use the people inside to make money if they're able-bodied enough. If not, it seems like we just don't give them healthcare and hope they stop being a problem. I'm going to be careful how I say things because we're live on TikTok and they scan words. So I think I probably read too much from Gerald's post earlier. Comatose, it's all good. Come show up next time. Love to have you back in. Every Tuesday at 7 is the policy meeting, and then Saturdays typically 9 to 10 and 10 to 11 for other campaign meetings. So, AMA tomorrow. Should mention that before you leave. We have an Ask Me Anything tomorrow night from 7 to 8. So show up and ask your questions, and they do not have to be policy related. You can ask me whatever you want. I will reserve the right not to answer creepy questions about my family, but everything else should be fair game, I think. Anyway. All right. I need to figure out a program for children with parents in prison. Watch the 4-year-old girl cry. Virginia. I just watched the documentary about Tutwiler and the roughly 50 incarcerated individuals who give birth every year inside of Tutwiler, and they get 24 hours with their kid, and then they're separated, and it's like, we've got 3 kids. Like, as a dad, I couldn't imagine. So, and one of them, the one they were focusing on for the video, for emotional appeal, no doubt. You have to. I get it. She was in there for some kind of drug charges. And it's like, so you're gonna make this lady stay in horrible prison conditions, give birth, and then give up her kid because of a thing that shouldn't be criminalized. Like, I just don't understand. I do understand it. Again, it's for profit, but anyway. All right. Okay. So actually, I want to clear something up. So somebody asked about the board, the parole board. So technically, the governor does appoint the parole board. So that is within my job description. The problem that people don't understand is I don't have free reign to pick. I have a choice of 5 that are chosen by the lieutenant governor. So somebody you guys elect. So please vote accordingly. And then also the Speaker of the House and the President pro tempore of the Senate. So 1 executive member that is elected, and then 2 legislative members who are elected have control of the Board of Pardons and Paroles. So they pick the 5, and I get to pick the 3 that are in place if someone loses their seat. So if someone loses their seat. I pick from the 5 that the other group chooses for me to choose from, if that's the way to phrase that correctly. So, yes and no. I think of it as a technicality that I get to pick somebody, but when there is what I have to assume a running list of candidates available, what kind of choice is it, right? Would I keep Cam Ward on as director of the parole board? From what I've seen, no. I haven't spoken to the man personally. He did not reply to my email when I was rather concerned about William Davis and his colostomy bag access. But from what I've seen, no. Like, I don't see any attempt at accountability. So why should he stay there? I haven't found a reason to keep him there. So, you know. Shout out to the folks at the Alabama Prison Birth Project for their doula services. Yeah, and I think that's what this video was about, was talking about their doula services. And like that, I like what they're doing. I don't like that they have to do what they're doing, if that's the way to phrase that. So, the legislators pick out of a pool qualified candidates in this list that's forwarded to the governor. Yeah, exactly. Yep. How do we also get the current attorney general out? That's an elected position. If somebody's running, vote. If more than one person is running, vote for the other person. Career politicians become too comfortable. Term limits. Sure. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do term limits. Yep. I don't want to do this for more than one term. I will if I have to, but I don't want to. I don't want to do it now. You guys crazy? Like, I mean, like, I hope people realize, like, this is not a lifelong goal. I think I've said that enough. I'm just pissed. Nobody else is saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't have slavery in our state. Maybe we shouldn't be doing for-profit systems that incarcerate people, that have a profit motive to keep more people in prison and build more facilities under the guise of, doing better. Like, I don't want to do this. I will. I just don't want to. I also don't want this state to be in the condition it is, but it is. So, we're doing what we can to fix it. Yeah, people need to be investigated. Sure. Yep. Virginia. Oh no, it wasn't Virginia. It scrolled. Virginia, you're pissed too. So, all right, it's past 8 o'clock. So we're gonna I'll answer a couple more because people have been asking questions. So, thank you for jumping on asking questions. Virginia, you said you're pissed. That's a good time to bring up the fact that we have a digital swear jar for the campaign. So every time this state makes you mad and you start cussing, instead of using your personal swear jar at home, which if you have one, if not, use the digital swear jar my campaign offers. Head over to the donation link in bio and donate some money. We're up against literally millions of dollars. So, Virginia, I appreciate it. anytime you cuss and feel like you just want to yell some more, and you can, feel free to donate again if it's safe for you to do so. Tracy. What's my opinion on the most recent botched unaliving? Nathan, middle name. James Nathan, right? Trying to make sure I get his name right. I'll say this every day. People not hate me for saying it, but people disagree with me for whatever reason. I don't think the death penalty should exist. Like, I don't. And it goes back, I don't know how long you've been watching, but it goes back to the point I made earlier that, was it Joe Nathan James then? Dion, I think it was Joe Nathan James. It was 3 names, and it was JNJ, I believe. Anyway, from my perspective, not as a psychologist, because I'm not one, we have innocent people in jail. We can't deny that. So having a death penalty as an option when there are known innocent people in prison is inhumane. Like, we will kill innocent people. use that word on TikTok. Even if the system were perfect, so let's 100% known conviction, everybody's guilty, we have no innocent people in prison. I still don't think the death penalty is a good thing, because it goes back to us solving problems versus punishing people. And like, what is the point of the death penalty? If it's to stop crime, why isn't it doing it now? We have 164 people on death row now. We have people on death row now. Some of them have been there since longer than I've been alive. Like, I'm running for governor, and there's someone on our death row who's been on death row longer than I've been on this earth. You will not convince me that the death penalty convinces other people not to do things. Not everybody. So why not? Why doesn't it stop people? Why don't we care that it hasn't stopped people? So we need to find something. We have to replace the justice system, the mindset that we all have, to try and stop this from happening in the future, and not just reacting to when bad things happen. Bad things. As a group, as a people, reacting to bad things doesn't keep them from happening again. I'm not saying some people shouldn't be separated from society if they are a danger to everyone else. That should, like, anybody who says that is, I don't know what to say to them. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we have to keep people safe. My point is, when we're doing that, we have to find why these people are doing the things we don't like in the first place, and solve for that. So, some people call it root cause analysis. Whatever you want to call it, we have to find out why people are doing the things that we as a society don't like, and try to prevent that from happening. So, that's where I'm at. Let me scroll back up. Miran, you're welcome. Like, I mean, I'm literally, I think of that as just being like a good human being, is not thinking we should just kill people we don't like what they've done. But I keep using the word while I'm live on TikTok. But yeah, I'm glad that it sounds like he's no longer on death row. That I'm glad. I wish the 168 people who are 64 now weren't. All right. Robin made a good point. I think we'll end there. If Alabama took better care of folks, trauma wouldn't run so rampant and people wouldn't be reacting or just trying to survive. I think, again, not as a psychologist, but the ones that I follow, most problematic behavior that people have leads back to trauma. And whether that's trauma that was inflicted on people individually, we talked about abuse earlier, or if it's generational trauma. Both of those, especially when combined, cause people to do bad things, like generally accepted as bad things, like abuse other people, unalive other people, enjoy grape, if you know what I'm saying, because TikTok will take this down if I use the real word. Like, if you're not familiar with generational trauma, please go look it up. There's an experiment called the Cherry Blossom Experiment that was introduced to me about a year ago. Go look that up. That, if you read that and actually understand what they're saying, you will have a different perspective on the lack of the amount of time between slavery, Jim Crow, and the start of the civil rights movement. There has not been enough time for that trauma to heal. And I'm talking about people that look like me. We have built up trauma in our bodies that people don't understand. So, Alabama's not interested in stopping crime. Prison industry is the biggest profiters of the state. Simply it's simple. If they truly wanted to stop crime, reinstate funding for mental health facilities, mental health treatment, proper rehabilitation and reform, and find out core issues is one of those. My comments jumped. Sorry. Find out the core issues. One is experiencing and fix those instead of sending everybody to slave camps. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Robin, you're not wrong. Capitalism, which equals exploitation, which equals trauma. So, yeah. Well, that sounds like a great note to end on. It's an awkward moment to end, but we're already 10 minutes past. So we'll end. AMA is tomorrow, 7 to 8. Please show up again. I'll be on the platform, all the platforms that we are today. So if you're seeing this today, show up tomorrow, 7 to 8. Come ask anything. Feel free. Jump on and we'll talk. And we've actually got a guest on TikTok, at least, from Huntsville that'll be jumping on. Not sure how long they'll be able to hang out, but they should show up and have some fun there. And we should have meetings on Saturday. I think we have to push them back again this week because I have something that's scheduled that morning, but we're going to push those back. And I would kick myself if we don't announce this now. We have an event in Mobile, so if you're anywhere near the Mobile area, we have an event on September 3rd from 7:30 to 9 at Cedar Street Social Club. This is a ticketed event. It is a fundraiser, so we are selling tickets to come show up, hang out with me, listen to some good music from a local musician named Gabe Willis, who is a member of Paw Paw's Medicine Cabinet. If you're from the area, hopefully you've heard of them. And because it is World Beard Day, Freudian slip, we're going to be at a bar. As World Beard Day, we're going to have a badass beard competition. So come show up, bring some dollar bills to vote for the beard that is the best, and those will be treated as campaign contributions, and the winner is going to get something cool for being the person with the best beard. And it is not going to be a fixed competition. I may not win, as glorious as this beard is from what people tell me. If you show up and you outcompete me, then you will go home with a cool gift. And then Labor Day weekend, Anna, it's on the comments that was Amanda put that. Sorry, I'm two different comments. Anna said come down on Labor Day weekend, and then Amanda put the link to the event. So if you aren't on Facebook, so if you're on TikTok or Twitch or YouTube or Twitter, or I think that's all the platforms right now, go to the link in my bio on that platform, and there is should be a green banner at the top that says, September 3rd, Mobile, Cedar Street, buy your ticket now. Go purchase those and come on to the event. We'd love to see you if you're from the Mobile area. So Mobile, Baldwin County, if you're anywhere close or want to drive down here for a Saturday night, we would love to see you there. There are VIP tickets available, so go check those out. It's hopefully something that is worth your while, and we'd love to see you. So I think we'll end it there. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Thank you for the really good questions, and show up September 26th, Monday, September 26th, 9 a.m., Montgomery, Alabama, Break Every Chain Rally. We can't let this keep going, so come make your voice heard for those who can't from the inside. So y'all have a good night, and we will see you soon.